welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond, in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys in Canada. You know we love you in Africa, the Big C tribe. But there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south, in the land of the free, in the home of the brave, on a beautiful March the 25th, 2019. Big C will be calling in shortly down south. Them good old boys probably, still celebrating how Duke got another win in March Madness. Also, in the world of sports and news, everybody's covering some politics with their sports show, even CBS Sports March Madness, referencing Mueller Report. I thought only Big C Sports did that too. And in the world of March Madness, it's amazing we're already into the Sweet 16. I thought Sweet 16 was just left for the dominant teams, and it seems like that's the case. Big C is calling in shortly. I want to say today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you, as well as a host of Cadillac cars. Big C, I think we have you on the line. I know you've been really hyped for March Madness, but I can't tell if you're more hyped about March Madness and that all your picks are still alive, or you get more weekends to celebrate pig feet and hot sauce. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, they didn't have any hot sauce left in the store. We just made a run, and it was all gone, so I guess some people were loving it as much as we were. But March Madness has been hot within itself, Charlton. You talk about some electrifying games that are being played.
Yeah.
This has been one joyful tournament to watch so far. We're down to the Sweet 16 already. I mean, we were just at 68 a couple days ago,
Yeah.
I guess somebody's math is better than mine.
Yeah, it's always that. That seems to be the case. What a great world that we live in. Because, growing up, my grandparents, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents and parents, of course. But there are times they say, when you do something, don't wait for other people. Just believe in your own vision. And I know everybody maybe hears something good from their grandparents, Big C. But when I was watching, March Madness, one shiny moment, a lot of people about 3 years ago when we started Big C Sports, some people thought, well, politics and sport don't mix. Like, if it's real talk, it does mix. I saw the great dance. I think you guys have played on the same golf course. I don't know if you guys played together, but I know you've been on the same golf course a couple times. They were talking about during the March Madness, they referenced the Mueller Report and how it was going to be previewed on CBS News. I was watching the basketball game. Now, why is that important? Because oftentimes, there are many people who would say, just play to the dumbest audience you can find. Don't talk about politics. The great Jim Nance referenced the Mueller Report, March Madness. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I guess he just didn't tell everybody to dribble and watch, or shoot, whatever.
Yeah.
He wanted everybody to pay attention to this report that was coming out, after almost 2 years of investigation.
Yeah. Which,
held America within its grips, Charlton, trying to figure out what occurred, back in 2016 and before that.
Yeah.
The report was not conclusive, Charlton, because it only dealt with one part of it.
Yeah.
That Mueller could report on, and that was collusion.
Yeah.
He could not report on anything else, even though he could put it in his report.
Yeah.
But what was most astonishing to me that Attorney General William Barr was able to figure out the entire report in less than 48 hours.
Yeah.
It took Mueller almost 2 years. Took him 22 months to compile this. So I guess our Attorney General must be the most intelligent person in America, or the greatest speed reader in the world.
He's a speed reader, Big C. That's exactly what he was doing. And I hear he does his taxes just as fast, too. Compiles all of his taxes within 48 hours. But ironically, because we live in a world, last time I looked, a coin has two sides. And on one side, I don't think anyone, I can't speak for everybody, so let me retract that. I don't think many people want to see anyone go through some form of an impeachment. And at the same time, do we want justice? Do we want liberty and justice for all people? And I hope that we can at least see the report as Americans and not be dumbed down, being told to take one man's word for it that seems to be conspicuously put in place for that cause, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, the president says he wants the public to see the entire report. He wants Congress and the House to see the entire report. The next line that we'll get, Charlton, it'd be a matter of, national security.
Yeah.
The reason why the report can't be released.
Yeah.
So, if nothing was wrong, so why can't it be released? If it was national security, what was being done that was wrong, Charlton?
Yeah.
So, it's a perplexion of things when you look at the totality of it here, Charlton, is that we're never going to get the end of this thing, whatever it is. I mean, everybody's going to draw their conclusions. And it all depends on which side of the fence that you're on.
Yep.
But everybody wasn't clean in this, Charlton, and everybody wasn't dirty in this. But, the amazing part about it was on Russian news today, how they were gloating and laughing about it on Russian news. I'm like, okay, here's the Russian laughing. We got away with this.
Again.
These dummies couldn't figure it out. I mean, they're saying this on Russian news today.
Yeah.
So who are we to believe? Are we to believe that there was no collusion, which may not have been any collusion? Obstruction of justice, it's out there. That's the one thing he was not able to investigate, Charlton, or draw a conclusion in a report on, even though it can be in his findings, obstruction of justice.
Yep.
But when you got the Russians sitting there laughing at it and saying, they didn't find it, we got away with it.
Yeah.
You think of it, when a criminal walks up and gets on video camera and says, hey, it's me, I got away with it. You got to laugh at that, Charlton. What a great country.
What a great country. I think someone said what a bargain about things in the past. But it's all fair in love and war. And again, I want to just say, as far as broadcasters go, Jim Nantz, obviously he's reading a teleprompter and he's doing what the producers tell him to do. But at least when I hear something like that, as galvanizing as the report, people are glued to their TVs. They're glued, at least the smart people. A lot of dumb guys, they just glued to that beer can, Big C. You understand what I'm saying. But when you have nothing wrong with the beer can, no one said that. But when you see how oftentimes, at least I see it, people of color have been told, just focus on the sport. But when you have the most prominent white broadcaster, I would say Jim Nantz is that, does NFL football, Super Bowls, does, I think at a time he used to do NBA, I know he does March Madness, and he does golf, and then the Masters. Is there a more celebrated white sports commentator than the great Jim Nantz? Even more Al Michaels, I would think. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, right now, I guess, Jim Nantz would be in the forefront of lead broadcasters, Charlton. With all the networks out there, he has a litany of work that he has done over time, whether it's golf, basketball, football, Charlton.
Yeah.
Track and field. He's been there. He's covered it all. And, I mean, he's a spokesperson for the network. You know, when you put him out there and he delivers an invite to watch something, Charlton, you have to pay attention. But the whole country was gripped, regardless of whether Jim Nantz was going to make a statement about it or not. I mean, the whole country's been waiting on this, and when it came out, at the end of last week that the report was completed and it had been turned over to the Attorney General, William Barr, like I said, the most astonishing thing to me is that this man was able to get through this report within 48 hours. So, I mean, I can't get through a newspaper in 48 hours. So he got through 2 years of investigation in 48 hours.
Yeah, he's a speed reader. And then the final comment on Jim Nantz, it's all fair in love and war. You can like or dislike what anybody says. People like or dislike us too. But I know there were a lot of mainstream reporters, especially during the Colin Kaepernick stance. That's the same Jim Nantz that was caught on a recorder, I guess on TV, and he maybe thought the microphones were off, and players were doing what Colin Kaepernick, had brought to attention. He and many other conscientious, athletes. And it was a great Jim Nantz that says, I'm so tired of this blankety blank. That was him. And now he's referencing politics in his own show. Again, black men have been doing this a long time, like my grandparents were right. Don't wait for mainstream to tell you what's important to you or what matters. And I think my grandparents was right. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Jim Nantz, as many others, Charlton, wanted to take that caveat and make a statement against something that they don't understand, something that they never have to cross hairs with.
Yeah.
Jim Nantz has a 2-year-old child, and I wonder how would he feel if, in 17, 18 years after he was pulled over by the police at gunpoint, off in some dark place, and was fired on by officers. You don't think that, Charlton, when you're a privileged individual, Charlton, that you get caught up in these things.
Yeah.
There was a situation that happened in Southern California, Charlton. There was a white affluent kid joined the Crips in Los Angeles last year, Charlton.
Yeah.
And he shot and killed somebody.
Wow.
In a drive-by.
Mm-hmm.
And he got off
Really?
because he had the finances, Charlton, to win in court.
Wow.
Even though he was the individual who killed the person, Charlton, he got off because he was rich and white. And they used that he was influenced by these people and didn't know what he was doing. It wasn't his fault. It's amazing that when you're white, it's not your fault. It's somebody else's fault.
Yeah.
That they led you in a negative plight. And that's what happened, Charlton, with this young white male in Southern California. He joins a black gang. He does a drive-by shooting and someone dies, and yet he gets off because he was forced into it. He didn't do it voluntarily.
Wow. That's incredible. And I think that, again, I want to pay homage to our grandparents because they brought me into sports and reading, and my parents brought me into sports and reading. But I think something that I don't see much of today, and maybe it's just me, if you don't have a chance to learn from grandparents, and you brought it to my attention when we talked last week about how people are catching colds, and we have these hand sanitizers, nothing anti-sanit hand sanitizer, but oftentimes our immune system, it can't build up a resistance because we keep making everything, crystal clear and clean. And we don't even keep snot on our hands anymore. Grandparents used to use a handkerchief 10 times before they washed it, Big C. Now somebody sneezes, they want the Kleenex and the hand sanitizer. So I just want to say to grandparents, it's important that we listen to them. And I think so many things that I'm seeing now come to mind. Next thought, you brought up Jim Nantz. He has a son. We all have, children that can grow in life and want to give them the best opportunities possible if they listen. Sometimes they don't want to listen. They want to do it the hard way, and they have that option. What I did not hear, and maybe it's just me, I did not hear Zion Williamson for the first time since he's been a freshman at Duke. I never heard any of our mainstream broadcasters call him a freak. I know we got on that, and we were lambasting all the people who do that. And I didn't hear it at all this time. And I just know maybe we're the first ones to come to that conclusion, but the networks were all calling him a freak. I'm sure they would not call Jim Nantz's son a freak if they were to say, son, hey, how's your son the freak doing? They finally showed some respect to Williamson. Was it just my imagination, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it's amazing how people can have an awakening. And it would be ironic if Jim Nantz went home and started calling his son a little freak, or his friends start calling him a little freak. Even the rest of the broadcasters out there, Charlton, they got to think about themselves and think about how they would recognize a family member. Do you walk in, tell your sister-in-law, hey, freak, how you doing?
Exactly.
You don't do that. So why do you do this to these young African-American males? I mean, we struggle enough in society for identity, Charlton. He has a name that's unique in the annals of college basketball.
Yep.
It's Zion. He goes by the one name, Zion.
Yep.
I mean, if you say Zion, everyone knows who you're identifying with.
Yeah.
And that's enough of a moniker for him to have, Charlton.
Yep.
You don't need all these other adjectives to put on there to identify his great athleticism. Just say he's a tremendous athlete.
Yep.
We haven't seen anything like this before.
Yep.
Someone of his athletic ability and size and speed, and just the way he can dominate a game. I mean, there's so much superlatives to speak about this young man on, Charlton. You don't need to put that moniker on him.
Yeah, I know. Especially Big C. I saw his parents at the game, Duke and University of Central Florida, that has one of the best programs that's under the radar, football and basketball. And to see his parents in the stands, I was cringing, hoping that no one of the broadcasters would just trample his name and how proud they are that he's done so great for himself. So kudos for people listening to Big C Sports, because we're the only sports show that lambasting anybody for doing that, especially the young black men. Big C, this is only the second time since the Field of 64 has been put together that all number one seeds made it to the second weekend. I mean, with betting out there, it's amazing that they got through the betting, because some people would make more money when the number one seed is knocked off. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, then they may not have been knocked off, but they did not cover the spread.
Yeah.
In a couple of games. So,
Okay.
it's half dozen in one, half dozen other. With the glass half full, I couldn't see.
I understand.
The betters won regardless. But, when you think about it, Charlton, only the second time since the field has been expanded to 64 teams that the top four has gone into the second tier.
Yeah.
But when you look at it overall, Charlton, I mean, I guess the selection committee got it right for a change, Charlton, because the lowest seed is Oregon at a 14 seed in the whole tournament right now. So you think about that uphill battle that they have, Charlton, to get into that, and all the number 2 seeds, Charlton, made it.
Yep.
So there shouldn't be any animosity about anybody right now, Charlton. We don't have any Cinderella slipper this year. No one's going to sneak in and blindside anybody. All the best players right now are playing.
Yeah.
So I give kudos to the selection committee, Charlton. They got it right. We even have number 3 still playing in the tournament, Charlton.
Yeah.
So when you think about that, the guys who have worked the hardest all year long, Charlton, and got those deserved brackets, the thing about March Madness, it's about going out winning on the court, Charlton.
Yeah.
This is not something that you can say, okay, we're going to pencil you in. You have to go out and win. Even if you look at that UCF and Duke game, Charlton.
Amazing.
That ball was a half inch from rolling in, but rolled out.
Yeah.
And so you couldn't say, well, Duke was getting the benefit of the referee. A lot of people would have said there were some earlier calls that they did.
Yeah.
But in the final shot, Charlton, it came down to Duke not allowing the ball to go in.
Yeah.
So when you look at that, and this is what you want in the end. You want the best playing the best.
Yep.
There was a movie, The Blind Side, that was done about the Michael Orr story.
Yeah.
And they had a scene in there where all the college coaches that came in and they wanted to see how he fared.
Yep.
And the coach said, okay, bigs on bigs right here, or best on best, whatever it is, best on best.
Yeah.
And they jump out there and Michael Orr dominates other kids. That's what you want to see in athletics.
Yeah.
We always see these fluky wins, somebody with a Hail Mary shot or a touchdown pass, or, you hit a home run and you hadn't hit one all year long.
Yes.
But it comes down to, Charlton, in the NCAA tournament. This is what's so exciting about March Madness. Right now you have best on best each week.
Yep.
And so there's no gimme games the rest of the way in.
No, there's not. And you think about it, 4 number 1 ranked teams left in the tournament: Duke, Virginia, North Carolina, and Gonzaga. That Duke-Virginia Tech game, that's going to be a dandy, number 1 versus number 4. And then when you look at even Oregon, when they have the chance to go up against Virginia, who knows how Virginia's a team that gets knocked off at times. Auburn barely getting past, New Mexico in that game. Duke, barely getting by University of Central Florida, and seeing just the heart of these kids that play and kids that were crying when their team lost. I think that's incredible how it means so much to them. Seeing Purdue knock off Villanova, and then Tennessee. What can you say about Tennessee going to overtime against Iowa? They lost in this round last year, and then to see them get pushed by Iowa, which no one expected Iowa to compete with Tennessee, but to go in overtime and win it, and they get their chance to prove if they were the number 1 team all along. LSU, their story, their coach, all the drama down at LSU this year, and now they get a chance to take on Michigan State when not many people thought they'd get this far once their coach was suspended. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Will Wade, Charlton, got suspended because of the phone scandal and taking money bribes, allegedly.
Yeah.
You know how they do things in the brown bag down south. It ain't always lunch. Okay?
Yeah.
But, when you think
and there's
about
a shortage
this,
of brown bags, as
I
I hear, too.
This game could be called Universities of Scandals.
Yeah.
When you think about it, you got LSU with Coach Will Wade.
Yep.
You got Tom Izzo and the scandal that he was going through last year.
Yep.
Larry Nassar, one of his cohorts there at Michigan State, and Tom Izzo. So when you think about this, I wonder how will the broadcast networks deal with this? Will this be the scandal game? Because if this was UNLV years ago, said that.
Still talking about
in Michigan, if it was UNLV in Michigan, there would have been the scandal game.
Yep.
So I wonder how will the broadcast networks handle this, Charlton. You got 2 universities that have been in back-to-back scandals.
Yep.
And so you know, the players, I thought LSU shouldn't have got into the tournament. Just my gut feeling, Charlton.
Yeah.
Because you had a player that you knew was taking money. You had a coach that was facilitating the money.
Yeah.
So if he was doing it for one, how many years was he doing it for that he didn't get caught?
Yeah.
We've had the situation with Michigan State, and Tom Izzo has been able to dodge bullets left and right for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
With all the scandals that have gone on at his university and his program, Charlton.
Yeah.
That he never, you know, he'll always come out and say, well, this time is for the kids. I don't want to talk about that.
Right.
Well, okay, the game is over.
Yeah.
So let's move to him and talk about it. You don't have to bring the kids in.
You know,
you talk about this like a grown man.
Yeah.
Which he refuses to do.
Well,
you know,
yeah.
you got to give the praise to the young men for the court and producing the victory.
Yeah, that's true. I want to just touch on Izzo. One, you know, they call one shining moment. Now, a teaching message. It's a teaching moment. Talked about the Mueller report. And I'm just curious to my white brethren in media and black ones too, why does Izzo still get the pass? I even heard, you know, a commentator on the mothership give a speech, a lacrimal speech, to incline people to shed tears on Izzo, saying that people need tough love and that people need someone to get into their backside sometimes.
Well, how many times do they go home and yell at their children?
Probably a lot.
Somebody needs tough love.
Probably a lot.
Do you yell at your kid? Does your wife have to pull you off your kid? Do you threaten your kid like this that people have to get between you when you're in public?
They may
not just at home. Do it in public. Walk into his school.
Yeah.
And berate your child like that. If somebody needs tough love because little Jimmy didn't get all A's on his report card, jump up on him like that.
Yeah.
And say, okay, this is just tough love to make sure he improves his GPA.
Well, when I heard that statement, number one, it was a white guy, and he was condoning how a white man treated a black child. Now, I wonder if he would have condoned it if he yelled at Jim Nance's child that way. And I'm not even being flippant. I'm not talking about the age. I'm talking about the respect for someone's child when you go into their home and you tell their parents you're going to treat them like they're your own. There are things you can do in private. There's a way you teach. And I know the mothership, while their broadcasters are on air and they screw up because the teleprompter goes down or they drop the notepads, could you imagine if the producer came out there while they're streaming live and started, you blinkety blink, you blippity blip, and you blappity blap, I'm giving you tough love. No one put up with that, especially in the workforce. And I'm just exhausted of hearing mainstream media make excuses for egregious behavior when black boys are the ones who are targeted. I don't want to see that garbage. I don't want to make excuses for it. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you can't make excuses for it. They know it's wrong, but yet they condone it.
Yeah.
Like you said, the best example is like, let somebody come yell at your kid in a classroom. Let somebody walk in there and berate your child.
Yeah.
Let them threaten your child what they're going to do to him. Because that's what Izzo was doing.
Yeah.
He wasn't saying, hey, I appreciate you're not making that shot, and, we'll work on it in practice. We'll get you in a better, position next.
Yeah.
He wasn't saying anything kind to the young man.
No.
But for the networks, Charlton, to cover that up, we just went through the Mueller investigation.
Yeah.
I mean, this one we saw on television.
Yeah.
Of how he was treating this young man.
That's true.
And for anybody who was watching a sporting event, and most parents out there have had a kid playing youth sports, baseball, football, basketball, would you have wanted the coach to jump on your son or daughter like that during the game?
No.
All right, let's move it up to high school. Would you accept a high school coach? A high school coach would have gotten fired.
Yeah.
Pulling a stunt like that. A high school coach would have gotten fired, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, track and field, wrestling, whatever. That high school coach would have lost his job. But we give Tom Izzo a pass because he's making $4 million out there a year off the labor of these young black men that he's allowed to physically and mentally abuse.
Yeah.
That's what he did. That was total mental abuse.
It was.
Now, if you do that to a person, you walk into a Starbucks, and you do that to a Starbucks employee, you're going to get arrested.
Yep.
You're going to go to jail.
And you know what?
We saw last year.
Yeah. And
two black men sitting in a Starbucks.
Yeah.
Got arrested.
Yep.
They weren't saying anything to anybody.
Yeah.
They were just waiting to have a meeting. They got arrested.
Well, you know what?
So, so think about that compared to what Tom Izzo did.
Yeah, all the ways. And another thing that's poignant, too, because I have a daughter, and when the mothership puts on a broadcaster to sit there and tacitly consent to verbal abuse, they've had women at that network file sexual assault charges and discrimination charges against major broadcasters at that network. And they're so dumb, they sit his butt out there as if this stuff had never happened. A lot of guys off the air because they were accused of doing things to women. But the attitude that they used about a 5-minute segment to defend what Izzo did. Doesn't that knucklehead know that that same network has had people file charges against employees and that behavior is not acceptable to the courts? Mixing your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, and lead broadcasters on that network, male and female, you've had male broadcasters comment about the way a female commentator dress.
Exactly.
And get suspended.
Yeah.
She gets a pay raise, so she doesn't sue.
Yeah.
You know, so the mothership goes to that. I mean, if you weren't saying anything negative, you just said she dressed like a schoolgirl.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, that was sexual harassment.
Yep.
There's no simple words. So if that's sexual harassment, think about what Tom Izzo said and what kind of harassment is that?
Yeah.
Michigan State owes this young man a debt of apology, Charlton.
They do.
And financial compensation for what he had to go through.
Yeah.
If I was him, because there's an audio of that, Charlton, I would have filed suit. After this term is over,
Yep.
I'd be filing suit. Matter of fact, I wouldn't even wait till the term is over. I'd be down filing suit. I'd have an attorney, and it would be done.
Yeah. Yeah, he should do it. And last thing I'll say on that, because there's a sad man that won't defend his own daughter. I mean, sad, ignorant. And then to get on TV and justify it. Even the great Nick Saban, when he said some rude comments to an individual, a reporter, I believe her name is Maria Taylor, he forgot he was on TV when he was talking to her in such terse words. He even apologized. That's the great St. Nick. I just hope that people call people out and quit letting that be the status quo, especially when the African-American kid is the one being abused by that, because I hate that. 4 number 2 teams left in the tournament. Kentucky, I know you love Kentucky. There's something about, is it one and done, Calipari? He said it's hard coaching against teams where they have players that stay there 4 years, Big C, but Kentucky's advancing. Tennessee, Michigan State. That's pretty solid when you have 4 number 2 teams that are still in the tournament, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, like I said, the bracketology got it right, Charlton. And what's amazing is that you got some young teams staying in Kentucky to keep re-entering the tournament, Charlton, year after year with new core players, just like Duke. You think about it. Both of these teams, Charlton, won't be the same teams next year.
No.
But, you got to attribute that to the coaching, Charlton.
Yeah.
Not that you just go out and get great talent, but you're able to mold that talent, Charlton. This shows the intelligence of the young black athlete, Charlton. They're only in school 1 year.
Yeah.
But in that 1 year, they're catapulting into the Sweet 16.
Yeah, and I really like that, Big C. It's important. It's important to me because to see that. Also, you look at 4 number 3 ranked teams left in the tournament. Houston's a good program. I think Houston's one of the top 4 or 5 largest cities in the United States of America. Not far behind LA. I mean, you think about how big that population is, but they really don't have like marquee programs, at least nationally ranked programs. But when they get the chance to play, they do well. Their football team, they've been a solid program. Their basketball team, the way they handled Ohio State, I thought was impressive. And then you look at Purdue. Purdue is a team that has Final Four, written all over it. Texas Tech, LSU. Which one of those ranked teams that are third do you feel has a better chance to get into the big dance? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, LSU has the best athletes of all those teams, Charlton. Houston hasn't been there since the days of Akeem Olajuwon in the Final Four, coached by Guy Lewis. And so, it's a great chance for these mid-majors, Charlton, to move up in the rankings. I like Houston in their athleticism.
Yeah.
But LSU, the team that shouldn't have been there, they probably have 3 pro players on that roster, talk.
Yep. Now they're a dominant, Big C, and I know you hate I know there's 2 things you like. I know you like ducks, especially when they're in your grill, Big C. You don't like them when they're flying overhead, but you gotta give some homage. I know this might turn your stomach. You gotta give a little bit of homage to the West Coast, the Oregon Ducks. They're the lowest seed left in the tournament. They're a 12th seed. They face number 1 Virginia in the next round. Now, they may be like those ducks that run across your shotgun pellets. They might be one and done, Big C, against this number 1 seed. But the
I got some favorite Chinese restaurants, and orange duck Charlton. I'm gonna love it, But these ducks are green, so I haven't eaten a green duck in a while.
Yeah.
But when you think about the Ducks, Charlton, out there representing the West Coast, along with the number one seed in Gonzaga, they're not that far apart, university-wise.
No.
They're about a stone's throw away from each other.
Yeah.
A nice little duck flight, I guess you'd say.
Eugene and Corvallis.
But Oregon, representing the only Power 5 conference from the West, Charlton, the Pac-12.
Yeah.
When you think about the team that won that conference, Washington, they were an early elimination, Charlton, out of the tournament.
Yeah, they were embarrassed.
The Ducks have played some tremendous basketball, Charlton, and when you get to the Sweet 16, you can easily get to the Final Four. You just need 2 more games. So, but Virginia, they're happy to be here. Last year, they were knocked out in the first round by a 16 seed.
Yeah.
But they're playing much better offense this season than what they did last year.
No, I love this time of year, and it's good to see, 2 West Coast teams still alive, and it's amazing they're not from the LA Basin. You would think USC, UCLA, even in Arizona State, Cal, Stanford. No, we got to go up to the state of Oregon and Washington. The farthest reaches of the Pac-12, and that's Oregon and Gonzaga representing West Coast basketball. I want to mention, too, as we're talking about, the treatment of men of color that made this game a billion-dollar industry, March Madness. 2 African-American major college basketball coaches. They were fired over the weekend. Jones from Cal Berkeley, and then Johnson out of Alabama, both Power 5 conferences. I want to get your thought on that. In Division I basketball, only 22% of all the head coaches are black men, while about 90% of the athletes in March Madness are black boys. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it's a slight as far as African-American coaches getting opportunity in the Division I college ranking, Charlton. Is that you think about these 2 coaches being gone, and Avery Johnson, Charlton, made the tournament 2 years ago. His best player was one and done. And he's the first overall pick of the Cleveland Cavaliers last year.
Wow.
And it's hard to build a program, Charlton. It hasn't been a basketball program. Everybody knows Alabama's a football power.
Yep.
And they're trying to build a program. But Avery shouldn't have been let go, Charlton.
No.
He lost the first round game against the NIT. That shouldn't have been the measuring mark, Charlton. He hasn't been around long enough to develop a program. Normally when you hire a basketball coach, you give them 4 to 5 years because you want a class to go all the way through.
Yeah.
He just signed an extension last year, Charlton, to take him to 2023.
Yeah.
And yet you fire him a year later, even though he was above 500 as a coach.
Yeah, and that's a shame, but you get hired to get fired, as many people say in different sports, but you love to see people who make up the game have the chance after their playing days are over to coach, whether it's football or basketball. Division I college football, 112 coaches, 12 are black, African American, and that's just 9% in college football or black head coach, 9%. And you think about March Madness for basketball, when you think about the Final Four for football, that's also dominated by African American athletes. But talk about earning an F for the schools when it comes to equal opportunity. No matter what, affirmative action aside, how can 9%, only 9% of black men who dominate college sports, only 9% are head coaches, Big C, will you get paid to do it? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you think about the most egregious numbers. There are 318 basketball programs in the United States of all levels of college basketball. And less than 50 of those positions, Charlton, are held by African Americans as head coaches. And at the end of this 2019 season, there are 75 openings as of today, Charlton.
Wow.
In college basketball. 75 openings as of today on all levels, Charlton, all the way down to junior college.
Yeah.
And how many of those, Charlton, will have an opportunity for African American to even interview, not get the job, even interview?
Yeah.
That's the most egregious part, Charlton. We know the major reason why there's a lack of African Americans on any level in college sports, because they don't get a chance to interview.
Yeah.
You can play, but you can't interview. You can play, but you can't coach.
Yes.
So when you think about the egregiousness, and they talk about leveling the playing field, Charlton, leveling the playing field starts with offering interviews.
Yes.
Sending out inquiries, Charlton, because just white coaches are not the only ones who can coach. They're the ones who are given the best opportunities.
Yeah.
When you look at the highest paid throughout the college ranks, Charlton, it's always the white coaches. They don't have to win.
No.
Just be there.
Just be
because
there.
only one of them is going to win a national championship
Yeah.
each year. In every sport, Charlton, basketball, baseball, football, hockey, track and field, badminton, tennis, wherever we are.
Yeah.
It's only going to be one coach in any sport that's going to win a championship.
That's
But
incredible.
yet you don't give enough African Americans an opportunity to try to win a championship. And people will say, you guys are being racist. No, we're not being racist. We're being honest.
Yeah.
And you're being racist to say it's not honesty that we're spewing here.
Yeah.
Because look around at any national program, any sub-national program, Charlton, anywhere.
Yeah.
Not only is the head coach is white, look at the assistants down the bench.
Yeah.
You're going to tell me that you don't have a young African-American that wants to get into the coaching ranks, that wants to be a grad assistant, that wants to be hired as assistant? Look at all the teams in the tournament, Charlton, and tell me which one has more African-American coaches on the bench than white.
That's a very good point. And what I bring up too, again, my grandparents, they were white. They grew up in Jim Crow. And so they told us how to survive and how to prosper in a system that may be antithetical toward you. And they talked about just being the best at what you do and don't give up. But I want to ask for my white brethren, the coaches out there, that are telling the boys, they're athletes. I love my boys. They're like my boys. I love them like they're my own boy. They're like my own boy. I love them. I treat them like they're my own kids. So if you treat them like they're their own kids, and they've helped the March Madness become a billion-dollar industry, why do you not hire the people or give them opportunities that help you get to March Madness? Big C, does that make any sense, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when we look at it in totality, and we're sitting here trying to figure this out, why are the black men omitted from having these jobs? You know what? They don't dribble anymore after their playing days are over, so they can't play. They can't teach the game. I mean, think about how intelligent the players at Duke are, Charlton.
Yeah.
At the University of Kentucky are. We're talking about freshmen.
Yeah.
And then think about, Charlton, those that don't make it, Charlton. Why aren't they given an opportunity to come on to a coaching staff?
Yeah.
That's what you have to look at. And so when you don't grant those opportunities, I mean, the guys, they're not going to look like the athletic directors at majority of these universities.
That's true.
They're not going to look like the board of regents at the majority of these universities.
That's true.
They're not, Charlton. But they do recruit, and they do identify with the players. I mean, this moment that Tom Izzo had, can you reflect it if that was a black coach, Charlton, going after a white player?
I haven't
seen it.
Can you
imagine the vitriol that would have come across all the networks that would have been spewed? He would have probably gotten fired after the game, Charlton.
Yeah.
You know, if not suspended at the minimum.
Yep.
But think about that. Would you allow a black coach to do that to a white player, Charlton? We've seen the antics of white coaches over time. Go back to Bobby Knight, Charlton.
Yep.
He'll always be the poster child for bad coaches, how they treat students, Charlton.
Yeah.
And now we got Tom Izzo, another Big Ten coach, doing the same thing that the Big Ten coach Bobby Knight did, Charlton.
Yeah. Well,
Jerry Tarkanian never did that to his players.
No.
He had black players. John Wooden never did it to his players.
No.
He had black players, Charlton. So when we go back and look at the players, Charlton, that have won, I've never seen Mike Krzyzewski do that to his players.
No.
He has a ton of black players, Charlton. So when we talk about the elite coaches, remember when Olin Richards won the national championship, Charlton, with an African-American team at Arkansas in the early 90s.
Yep.
He never berated any of his players who made a mistake. And you spoke about the great John Thompson, Charlton, how he embraced his players, especially Freddie Brown, when he made an errant pass, you know, and cost Georgetown a potential national title.
I remember
Bill
that.
Frieder at Michigan, when Chris Webber did the same thing, Charlton called a timeout. There was no timeouts to call. Cost his team a technical. He didn't go and yell at Chris Webber.
That's true.
He understood that the young man could make a mistake. But yet the society embraces Tom Izzo for berating a black basketball player.
I think what I saw with Coach K, and again, now, I don't know if we had anything to do with it, but I know, and you can Google it, Big C Sports was the only sports show in the universe that was saying, don't call this boy a freak. And that Coach K should stand up for him and stand up against the media, saying his name is Zion Williamson. It's not Freak Williamson. This is the first time I didn't hear them doing that, so I know they got it from somebody, Big C. I believe Leonard Hamilton, I believe he played under Coach K. I may be wrong about that, but the coach
He did. He's Florida State.
For Florida State. Now, so what we're saying, my grandparents were right. They said you give people opportunity, it's up to them to keep that opportunity that you give them. They earn the opportunity by being prepared. Coach K, after they had this great game against University of Central Florida, unlike Tom Izzo, you blippity blip, blankety blank, he said, I love the guy. They embraced at half court, Big C, and the reporter, the TV reporter, I forgot her name, but no one called her freak, was asking Coach K his thoughts, and he said, as happy as I am, I hurt too, because I love Coach Hamilton. Don't you think K had something to do with him getting the opportunity? I'm sure he spoke highly for the young man. I'm sure he helped open some doors. We're just asking other coaches to do the same thing. It's not going to hurt you. It's only going to help you. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, it is, Charlton, and I mean, to have that type of embrace. And the thing that I'm always bothered by reporters, they want to know the personal things that you say to somebody.
Yeah.
He's not, what if that coach said, well, what did you say to your husband last night when you hugged him?
Yeah.
You know, I would love for a coach to say that sometimes. But, you know, some things as a reporter, that lets me know that they're not that astute, Charlton.
Yeah.
Because they want to take something that's personal and broadcast it, because you don't do that. You don't put everything on the air.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be prescient enough, Charlton, to be able to create a story of what you just saw.
No,
and the
that's
reason
true.
why you saw it. You're supposed to know the history of these two men.
Yeah.
Not just sit there and say, okay, I don't know what to say, so give me something. I need a sound bite.
Well,
that's basically what she's saying. She needs a sound bite because she wasn't intelligent enough to appreciate the moment.
Well, they have producers telling them what to say too, and that's what happens. But I do want to say sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. For every athletic and sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports, whether you're a pro team, a collegiate team, your high school team, or your mom and pop soccer league. When you reach out to them, let them know that Big C sent you. Big C, we talk about it being a billion-dollar industry. The 11th highest paid coaches, think about 11 of them. We just talked about giving, men of color who make this a billion-dollar industry the chance to earn a paycheck once they're done. Calipari, Kentucky. He makes $9,300,000 a year. That's just his salary. Who knows what his shoe contracts are? Coach Krzyzewski for Duke, $7 million. Tom, I'm going to blippity blip, blankety blanket you, Izzo. He makes $4.2 million for being verbally abusive to black boys. Google it. Tony Bennett, Virginia, $4,200,000. The great Roy Williams, North Carolina, $3.9 million, and it goes on. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, they're making a wealth of money, Charlton, off the labor of these young black athletes during the tournament. I mean, every game that you watch from now on in, Charlton, you'll see a minimum of 3 black starters in every lineup, Charlton. Some will have 5 in their lineup. And what I want people to pay the biggest attention to, Charlton, is the bench. Show me how many African-American assistant coaches are on the bench. And if they don't get the opportunity, Charlton, being an assistant to one of these wealthy paid head coaches in college basketball, how will they ever get an opportunity to be a head coach on a program for themselves, Charlton?
Yeah.
Well, when you see guys moving to the next position that's available, Charlton, there's normally the white guy sitting next to the head coach.
Yeah.
And we talked about this. There's 75 openings right now in college basketball, Charlton. You talked about 2 big ones in 2 Power 5 conferences, one in the SEC at Alabama, one in the Pac-12 at Cal.
Yeah.
Those positions are going to be open, Charlton.
Yep.
First on the list for anybody, I guarantee you, they have a list of 5 white guys for each one of those universities.
Yeah.
To fill those potential positions, Charlton. They have a list of 5 prospect white guys that they've already looked at that are assistants at other programs or even the smaller programs that they're looking at moving up.
Yep.
But I guarantee you, none of these programs, Charlton, have more than 1 black on that list.
Yep.
on that list as far as bringing a guy in.
Yep.
And so when we look at the tournaments, we see the guys making $2, $3, $4, $5 million, Charlton, $7 to $9 million.
Yeah.
There's no black coaches in that mix, Charlton.
Yep.
If they don't get an opportunity to develop a program, Charlton, you can never pay them.
Yeah. I'm not even being flippant when I say this. There's a Marshall University, their football program. I don't know the name of the head coach, but because this gambling thing is so huge, they're assigning a mentor to these athletes to make sure that they don't gamble on bet. They don't bet on games because it's so widespread. They want all the bookies to know. He's giving the roster of all his football players to the
You mean
bookies.
there's something else to do in West Virginia other than betting?
Well, I just learned that today, Big Z. But he's given the roster of his players to the so-called bookies or whoever in Vegas to make sure that if his guys are caught, betting, that the bookies squill. Isn't that asking the fox to guard the hen house, Big C? Your thoughts?
Now, what are you going to college for? To allegedly get an education, aren't you?
Exactly.
So why would you be the player to walk in and place the bet? Now, you got a game going on. How are you going to get to the casino?
Yeah.
Don't they realize you have friends?
Yeah.
Everybody has a cash app on their phone and everything else. Let me take you back a dozen years or so, Charlton.
Yeah.
Or even further. University of Washington was playing a meaningless game against USC in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
They didn't have no Pac-12 teams in Las Vegas.
Right.
There were two college kids walk in, Charlton.
Yeah.
And they both placed huge bets.
Yeah.
On this meaningless game.
Yep.
Spread on this game was 8.5, okay?
Wow.
They placed $250,000 each.
Wow.
Think about this.
Yeah.
You got two 21-year-olds placing $250,000 bets on a game.
Yep.
The game was taken off the board, though, Charlton.
Yeah.
After these bets were suspect.
Right.
And so even Vegas knew over a dozen years ago, Charlton, that games are being fixed.
Yeah.
All right?
Yep.
Games are being fixed. They knew that a dozen years ago. So you think that people haven't gotten more savvy now? Back then you had cell phones that looked like bricks in your hand, okay?
Yeah.
Now you got an earpiece in, walking around, no cord on it.
Yep.
So you can have that conversation.
You can have that conversation.
If they think hiring a mentor to talk to the kids and to have the bookies with their pitches up, now you've already told them how you're going to catch them.
Yeah.
Most of them got a girlfriend, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Some of them even have a wife.
Right.
Most of them have a brother.
Yeah.
Or a best friend on campus.
He got game. Yep.
So the player's never going to make the bet personally.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the coach was trying to say.
It was grandstanding.
I have the dumbest players in the country.
Yeah.
So they're going to go to a casino and place a bet instead of being at practice or at the game.
Well, ironically, guess what the coach said that maybe he'd even catch? He said he contacted the bookies. Why are you contacting the bookies if you're a coach? Aren't you supposed to set the example? And then you're giving up names of your players?
Charlton, how in the hell the coach know who the bookies are?
Exactly. That's what I said.
That gets me. Here's a coach that has admitted that he needs to be under investigation because he knows who the bookies are.
Yeah, at Marshall.
He's steering his players to stay away from him because he don't want to messing up his bet.
I said, what coaches calling bookies? You're supposed to be calling scouts, Big C. That make any sense?
Not only that, Charles, you're supposed to be calling the FBI.
Yeah.
I mean, with all these scandals going on.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, if anybody's going to be investigated, this is the coach of Marshall University, Charles, in Huntington Beach, West Virginia.
Yep.
They need to send somebody out there and wiretap his phone because he's talking about, I got a direct line to the bookies.
I thought that was crazy. Big C, is he a March Madness was on, TV last night, 60 Minutes. I love that. I love 60 Minutes. Been watching it since I was a young boy. It reported that gambling, March Madness earned worldwide, which may be a small number, $10 billion illegally. Now, if it's illegal, who counted it? Last year. Now, they're expecting...
from Marshall.
That's a good point, Big C. Well, they're expecting it to be a lot bigger this year because the Supreme Court made betting legal in most states, and most people do it with that thing in their hand called a cell phone. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, we talked about that. When you look at how close these games are, a lot of that has to do with betting, Charlton. We just need the game to be close. We don't need the spread covered, okay?
Yeah.
Or we need you to cover the spread.
Yep.
We need you to get the over. I mean, I'm looking at games, Charlton. Players are taking shots late in games that don't need to be when the game was over.
I know it.
But I'm also looking at the closeness of some of these games, Charlton.
Yeah.
That the spreads are not being covered.
Right.
And so who's getting hurt by the spreads not being covered?
Yeah.
By the losing team.
Yeah.
So this is what's occurring, Charlton, and people can call it however they want to call it.
Yeah.
And now the game is played on the court.
Yeah.
Yeah, the game is played on the court with your human beings.
Yeah.
And if my coach is making $4.2 million,
yeah,
at least I like to get $0.2 million,
yeah,
sometime during this tournament.
Right.
And so players can arrange whatever they want to arrange. It's always been done, Charlton. It's just now more out in the open where they can get the bets into a legal bookie in a casino.
Yep.
These sports books, they don't always have to go to the shady guy down the alley.
The shady guy down the alley. You know, in Europe, sports betting, I'm learning about the betting business because I'm not a betting guy, but I learned about it. Sports betting, 50% of sports betting in Europe, they follow Big C Sports in Europe, it's called in-game betting, more likely happening with handheld tablets and cell phones, where money is made on point spreads, missed shots, points per quarter. So it's harder to detect if somebody's doing it as opposed to a solid bet where you can't change it once the game starts.
We call them prop bets here in the U.S., Charlton.
The prop bets.
Prop bets is how many shots you're going to take, how many you're going to miss.
Yeah.
Is you going to make free throws? All these various bets that you can make throughout a contest.
Yep.
And the biggest prop bet day is Super Bowl Sunday, Charlton. That's because there's over 1,000 prop bets on the Super Bowl.
Wow.
That they put in the sports book.
Yep.
But, these prop bets, now that you have online betting, Charlton, and there's always been online betting sites that most of them are offshore.
Yeah.
And you'd have a hard time getting the money from them. Trust me, I can tell you that. But they all offer prop bets.
Right.
Charlton. You bet as the quarters. You can bet on the half.
Yeah.
You can bet on the first 10 minutes. All these different prop bets that come about that you can lay money on, Charlton.
Yeah.
And that's where the bookies really make their money.
Yeah.
How many free throws is Zion going to shoot?
Yeah.
How many, the biggest bet out there this weekend, Charlton, was Zion going to dunk on Taco Foyle, the 7'6" center from CF.
Yeah.
That was a prop bet.
Wow. Well, he did. He did, especially when he went to the basket and his left hand. I thought that amazing play by Zion Williamson, not the other name that they were calling him. I want to say how sports is so widespread. Michael Avenatti, the attorney, he was charged and arrested for extortion, bank and wire fraud, $20 million, versus the greatest, dresser in the history of sports universe, Nike. Could you imagine? This is the same guy that's going after POTUS with Stormy Daniels. He's the same guy that's on the witness side against R. Kelly. Now, again, when you're indicted and arrested and charged, that means you have unclean hands. One of my lawyer friends told me, Big C. What's up with Nike being involved in one of the wire fraud? These are all white guys getting money and lying about their tax returns and bank statements to get millions, and he was supposed to break the news during March Madness to hurt Nike. And when you went after really big people, he got arrested before he could make the microphone statement. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you go after really big people, you got to understand they got big friends also.
Yeah.
And, when somebody's trying to extort money from you, Charlton, all you do is just let the FBI know.
Yeah.
And especially when you're a world conglomerate like Nike, Charlton, this is the world's largest apparel company, Nike. So they're universal. And so, you think that they're not going to let the FBI know that somebody's trying to extort money?
It's on tape.
$20 million is the drop in the bucket for Nike, Charlton.
Yeah.
It's the principle of it.
Yeah.
And you think about all the links that Michael Avenatti has gone through in the past year and a half, from dealing with the president and his porn star, to dealing with the Supreme Court justice, alleging to have witnesses against him.
Yep.
And being arrested several months ago for allegedly an altercation with a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And now in an extortion act.
Yeah.
It's quick fall from grace for this young man.
Yeah, it's amazing the company you keep. I think sometime when I used to watch the movies growing up, and these mob movies, I don't know why I have a penchant for them, but sometimes it seems like a lot of guys in suits are not always squeaky clean. It's just, Jeffrey Berman, U.S. attorney from Southern District of New York, is the one that came out and made the statement. So hopefully, I don't know what's going to happen to the young man, but he'll have to find a lawyer to defend him. NFL news, Robert Gronkowski announced his retirement from the New England Patriots. I know his owner. I wonder if the thing with Bob Kraft has anything to do with Gronkowski. He could have played longer. He just finished playing in the Super Bowl, Big C. I know everybody has to walk away. Do you think not wanting to be associated with the stuff that's going on with that organization had anything to do with him announcing that now, Big C? Your thoughts?
Charlton, I think it's his body that had to do with him announcing it now. He made a statement after the Super Bowl, before the Super Bowl, that he'd be making that announcement whether he would play or not shortly after the season was over.
Yeah.
I think it drug on because of all the interest that was in the New England Patriots owner that it came out over the past couple of weeks. And by announcing it at this point, Charlton, it deflected some of the interest away from the Patriots owner Robert Kraft.
Yeah.
But Rob Gronkowski, Charlton, you know, in his 9 years, he's missed 2 seasons in the NFL due to catastrophic injuries.
Yeah.
You know, he's had 9 major surgeries, knees, backs, elbows, shoulders, all these things, Charlton, that wear on you.
Yeah.
And you got to look at the rule changes that have occurred in the NFL. You can no longer go high on a player.
Right.
And so Rob Gronkowski, if you recall last year, you know, 2 years ago, he had a couple of concussions, and he missed the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And so you look at now, Charlton, players always have to hit him low.
Yeah.
They have to hit him in his thighs and his knees. And he's had a lot of problems with those areas of his body. And so he knows that defensive backs and linebackers are not going to take him on because of his size.
Yeah.
So he's had his knee blown out twice, Charlton, from low tackles.
Wow.
So why do you want to keep going through that? And I can attest to that as a former player, Charlton, having multiple surgeries.
Yeah.
It's nothing that you look forward to.
Yep.
And, you know, the concussion issues, we've seen him suffer concussions on television, Charlton.
Yep.
In a couple of playoff games over the years.
Yeah.
So this is a situation that I praise Rob Gronkowski. You know, no one can say when a player needs to retire other than a player.
That's right.
And every time a player seems to walk away now, Charlton, and seems to have some tread left on the tire, everybody's questioning.
Yeah.
Everybody said, why is he doing this? He could still be playing. He's a young man.
Yep.
Well, I would say to any broadcaster who disputes when a player says, I want to go out there and strap on his uniform. That means that's an empty jersey and an empty set of shoulder pads and a helmet.
Go make the team.
Go put it on. Go fill in for him in one day in training camp.
Yeah.
And see if you don't retire before the training camp is over.
Yeah, especially going over the middle, guys looking to take you out. Finally, Big C, in the NBA short schedule tonight, I know they're taking a back seat to March Madness. It's interesting with Auburn. They're going to be playing North Carolina, and you have Charles Barkley and Kennedy J. Smith on the TNT program. Love to see how they go at each other. But tonight's Monday night, March 25th, NBA action. Just a handful of games. Philadelphia at Orlando. Games already playing right now. OKC at Memphis. Phoenix at Utah. And you have Brooklyn at Portland. Brooklyn is going to be a playoff team in the East. Portland's going to be a playoff team in the West. I don't think Brooklyn can get the win at Portland, but I wouldn't be surprised because this young team is balling a lot better than people thought. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, they're an up-and-coming team. They got a lot of young talent that has developed this year. And, you know, they've gotten hungry. They got a taste of what playoff fever is all about.
Yeah.
And they don't want to lose that mojo right now, Charlton. They want to keep that stride running.
Yep.
And I expect them to get out of the first round of the playoffs.
That's a very nice thing to see a team from New York at least involved in a championship game or at least playoffs. I think that's important for the East Coast. I just want to bring up one more story that I think is important because whether it's NBA or NCAA, when the Warriors lose a game at home to Dallas by 30-plus points, and it seems like their bigger losses are coming at home at Oracle Arena, Big C, what is that saying about the greatest coach in basketball, allegedly, in Coach Kerr? How do you justify it being blown up by 30 points and 20 points when you're defending NBA champions, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I guess you'd have to lose the title to defend that, Charlton. But, you know, for the 6th consecutive year, they won 50 games during the regular season.
Yeah.
So they're on stride, Charlton, to get back to where they were.
Yeah.
I mean, people forget how many games that the Warriors have played over the last 5 seasons.
Yeah.
Being in the playoffs, Charlton, being in the championship run. Just like with LeBron not making the playoffs this year, Charlton, people forget how many games he's played over his 15-year career.
Yeah.
Is that he's played a couple extra seasons already.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is the thing with the Warriors. Do you burn yourself out during the regular season trying to push the envelope every night, Charlton, to get to 120 points? Or do you just coast some nights? You know, the big thing in the NBA right now, Charlton, is players taking a night off.
Yeah.
And getting all the beat down from the media and talking about fines from the commissioner because they want to take a night off. You can take a night off on the court, Charlton.
Yeah.
You lose by that many points, you took the night off. You weren't busting your butt to go out there and win the game. You just were there not to get fined. That's all that was.
Well, Big Z, I have a more sinister friend out of Vegas that said, hey, Charlton, How much money you think I made on these knuckleheads betting on Golden State to cover the spread against Dallas? That's a good question. Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, this is where everybody's making their money at in betting now, Charles.
Yeah.
No one wants to work. Everybody wants to bet.
Yeah. Hey, I think they needed a bridge loan to finish Chase Center over in San Francisco, and I think they just got the bridge money. Big C, your thoughts?
You can build a whole lot of bridges with Dallas, scoring 30 points more than the Warriors in the game. You would think that would be the season series.
Yeah, that's funny. Big C, on this date, 1995, one of the most conscientious men in the universe, the late Muhammad Ali. He had a TKO knockout over Chuck Wepner in a 15-round bout for the heavyweight boxing title. They don't fight 15-rounders anymore, but Ali went that long with Chuck Wepner. The great Ali did so much for humanity and society. We'll always hold his name in high reverence. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that fight took place in 1975. Chuck Wepner and Muhammad Ali for the World Heavyweight Championship. And that movie, that fight, Charlton, inspired a movie.
Yep.
Everybody knows of Rocky.
Yep.
Rocky took the Chuck Wepner story, Charlton, and spun it into a series of blockbuster hits in the box office, Charlton.
Yep.
Him and Apollo Creed. But Apollo Creed was to emulate Muhammad Ali,
Yep.
and Rocky was the Bayonne bleeder Chuck Wepner that no one gave a chance to, Charlton.
Yeah.
And he took it 15 rounds prior to a TKO.
Yeah, I tell you what. Yeah, you're begging pardon, in 1975. And so for Ali in championship fights, and you're seeing March Madness, I love seeing young men put their heart and soul into it. I'm glad that the network broadcasters are calling Zion Williamson by the name his parents gave him, by showing respect to them. His parents went through a lot of garbage growing up, like many people of color, and it's great to see them make a change. But I know they heard it from Big C Sports, because it's okay to admit that you learned something someplace. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young men, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, we got the ladies' Sweet 16 kicking off again tonight, Charlton, for the ladies' championship. And it's amazing, they don't get as much hoopla on national television, Charlton, as the men do. But they play great fundamental basketball, Charlton, and I'm looking forward to watching them again tonight.
Well, I tell you what, we're all looking forward to it. You can look forward to it every Monday through Friday at 5 or 6 p.m. worldwide. Follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never, ever an excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.